Hi, friends. It is I, the host known as Host Eric, and I'm done with Thanksgiving now. Now it's your welcome's giving. So you're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, that's right. Tonight, tonight it turned into your welcome's giving, where everybody goes around and says you're welcome to people, and they go, for what? And you go, if you don't know, then fuck off. Could be like that. I guess that'd be a much more aggressive holiday than Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful for my Rachel Pachel, my life partner. And I'm thankful for my friend Abraham. And I'm thankful for the ability to peacefully and with a warm spiritual glow around me pull a bong rip. I'm grateful that Rachel can pull bong rips as well.
Did I bring it in?
You did. You left it right here, darling.
Cool. Thank you.
This is the Cloud X. Rachel's bong is named after Cloud.
It is.
You have a front porch mat with a welcome sign. I thought long and hard about whether I wanted to say welcome, but I liked the buffalo plaid check. Fair enough. Ideally, you get a mat that says contingent welcome on it. Contingent upon what? Well, my mood, whether I want you here, etc. I think naming a bong after Cloud is a better option than some other personal items she might have named Cloud. If she named that kind of personal item Cloud, I think I might take a little offense. She didn't name the bong Cloud. The bong manufacturer named it Cloud. It's officially its name. We do have named smoking utensils that we make up the name for, but that one has a name written on it, Cloud X.
Yeah, we usually do name.
Yes, muscle memory. Welcome to the Intuitar Convention. Well, you got two choices. You can either take your shoes off, in which case you're less likely to scuff the floor, but more likely to harm your toes when you stub them. Or you could leave your shoes on, and then, of course, you're more likely to knock things over. Either way, we're here to knock shit over. We're here to say, I'm sorry, oops, and let me clean that up. We're here to get stuck on agenda item 1 indefinitely and never proceed on to agenda item 2. These are the kind of things we're here to do at the Intuitar Convention. In my backyard sits a lovely mockernut hickory tree. Mockernut hickory tree. Why is it called a mockernut? Yes, Walto Molasco Busy Man. You may call me Eric. That is my name, after all. Hi, Horse Mumbler. I hope that you, as well, have had a good holiday. Rachel and I had Jack in the Box for Thanksgiving dinner because the Thanksgiving dinner that my dad purchased turned out to be not ready to eat. Oh, Walto Molasco Busy Man. I'm going to go with 8. I'm going to go with 8. Yeah. 8 cognitive functions. You got your cognitive function 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and of course then cognitive function number 8, which is known as the 8th function, or the 8th most of all the functions. So anyway, I'm here to share the wisdom of truth with the world, and or to receive the wisdom of truth from the world. But today, you, I, them, we, us, everyone, we are going to reject falsehood and lies. Who's with me? Let's reject falsehood and lies. I reject thee, falsehood. I reject thee, lies. There. Now let's pull a bonger. Well, Walter Molasco, busy man, I am wrong precisely 1.8% of the time. Which is not very frequent, but does occasionally occur. Why can't there be 12, though? Because there are only 4 kinds of ways of paying attention: action, knowledge, interface, and deliberation. Muscle memory asks an interesting question. Does the strength of the first function determine the weakness of the fourth? For example, if an INFJ is very strong and I desire SC suffer exclusively, I don't think functions work like that. So keeping in mind that a couple of things. First of all, the first and fourth function work in conjunction with each other most of the time. So for me, extroverted intuition is fed what I already know by my fourth slot SI all the time. But the thing that makes it fourth is which one's the master and which one's the servant, you know? Extroverted intuition is the master, introverted sensing is the servant. It doesn't mean that I'm not attending to both of those things. So the fact is, for most of the day, I'm engaging in an intentional manner that would be called extroverted intuition. That includes, it's basically ideating built off of things that I either already know and recall or things that I see. So, for example, I had a typing this morning, and I was asking this lady, come up with names for an invention. And so the first thing I did was I saw in front of me this thing, this hair device here. And so I said, okay, my new invention is a hair clip with an argon gas detector on top of it to make sure if you encounter an unusually dense pocket of argon gas that you'll be warned and be able to get out of it, of course. And I think the best name for the invention was one I came up with, which was Canary in a Hairdo. But she didn't understand what I meant. I guess it's an American expression. Although it's not just an American expression, because who most famously manifest the expression canary in a coal mine? I think it's in a Smiths lyric.
Oh.
A Smiths song. But let me Google this and see.
That's the thing, though.
What?
Canaries and coal mines.
Oh, it's the police. Sorry. Canary in a Coal Mine is by the Police, not by the Smiths. So yes, canaries in coal mines were used, of course, to as a particularly uncaring way of detecting poison gas, right? Because like my intuition is kind of the canary in Cloud's coal mine. So it's pretty easy to tell right away that Walto Molasco Busy Man is probably Cloud. Anyway, the point is, back to the canary in the coal mine, the idea is that you put the canary in a cage, you carry it down to the coal mine with you, and if the air gets no good, it just takes a little bit of carbon monoxide to kill a canary. So the canary will die, and you'll realize that who is this so-called new mod that I have on my so-called block list? He's not a new mod. I'm going to unmoderate him right now. You've had ample opportunity to pimp your test now. He's no longer a mod. Walto Molasco Busy Man. I don't claim to know you. I'm accusing you of being Cloud. That's a different thing. Okay? Well, that may be true. And nevertheless, I'm going to constrain your ability to spam with your thing. Okay? So, you're skeptical of the INFJ typing? What is Cloud or Cloud? I don't understand. Me no hear. Me no understand. I'm obviously not Cloud. Well, Walto Molasco Busy Man, you may very well not be Cloud, and that's certainly possible. Yes, you're a very Cloud man, very Cloud-esque in your approach to things. That is to say, your moisture produces drops of precipitation, and the precipitation is the water of wrongness that splashes on all of our faces all of the time. I guess that would be the best way of describing Cloud. Cloud is the water vapor of wrongness that envelops us in a fog of confusion. If you let him, you don't have to let him. What do you see as her TE frame unprompted? Legends Fall. I mean, give me an example of that. You say that, but I don't remember any occasions of it. Are you sure you aren't just wrong? Maybe it's just that you're wrong. Hey, Legends Fall. She asked, "Did you get your money back?" That's an obvious FE joke. That's not a TE frame. Okay, that's the most obvious FETI joke, right? It's kind of a TE frame joke, I guess, but I've heard that joke from many people. She's not the first person to make it. It's pretty NI. It's pretty low-hanging fruit. I don't think that qualifies as a TE frame. That qualifies as valuing humor. I'm going to go with Oliver Linehan. I agree. You respect those who seek the truth, but do you respect those who construct teak booths? A teak booth is one of the most difficult booths to make because teak's not an easy wood to work with. Can I act as an INFJ? Here's the thing about acting as an INFJ. It's difficult to act like an INFJ because INFJs are counterpunchers, or what you might say is good teammates. The INFJ in a social situation wants to be the setter, kind of like someone else will get the. This is my volleyball. I'm doing volleyball metaphors right now because I'm watching this volleyball show a lot. Anyway, it's like there's some people who want to, like, the ball's coming, I'm gonna get it, and they jump down on the floor and they dig, right? Then there's some person's like, I want to slam the ball, I want to spike it. And then there's the one in the middle who says, well, I'll receive the dig and set it up for the spiker. INFJ is kind of in that role socially because of their interface approach. And as a consequence, it's hard to act like an INFJ, especially in this context, because this is not so much of an interfacey medium. Union SD, everything is great. Thank you. The only thing, of course, that's not maybe super good, but will be good soon, surely soon, is I've got a poop coming. It's filling up my colon, and I need to let it out soon. I'm trying to get that feeling that I get before I poop. I've got a question which I find difficult to answer. At what age do you tell an adopted child he or she is adopted, or is it better to let the child call the parent stepfather, etc. from the start? Translate that into a year number. That is a very difficult question to answer. I don't know. I was having a conversation either with Rachel or in the live stream the other day that my cousins are not blood relatives to me. They were both adopted because my aunt was unable to conceive children, and so yeah, I know. Thank you, Jeff Shaw. You're right. I got about yeah. Well, let's keep that turtle in its shell, shall we? All right, I'm going to put on a little pleasant music for you to listen to while I go poo, okay? Because Jeff Shaw has come with the wisdom. There's no point in delaying any longer. No point in lying to myself any longer. I just have to face the truth. I do have to poo. People everywhere gather up, enemies outraged at how they must assign. How do they set their priorities? These foreign backstabbing entities. Ensuing heartache and misery follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting cars in a desert. We're stuck with such petty larceny. We all petition electors and call it destruction of the whole damn world. Do we share never limits? Hope you truly will too. Hope you truly will too. Cherish it for 4 minutes. You just can't do things like they do. thought that she should have got to when she had the chance to buy. Julie soon forgot about soon and on, although she have a call. People everywhere gather up, enemies outraged at how they miss a sign. How do they set their priorities? These foreign backstabbing entities ensuing heartache and misery follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting, cursing, and misery. We're stuck in such petty larceny. We all petition the rectories and cause destruction of the whole damn world. 30,000 days, too many expectations, not even worth a damn. 30,000 nights to sleep off the intoxication, otherwise you won't escape the plan. I wasted half my days trying on another's way, but who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody knows the key? 'Cause I'm tired of doing it wrong. Want direction and have all along. Wait until I know. Until I know. Or is that just hesitation? Clarity's no good once your chance is gone. What I need to show, is it so below my station? I'm tired of doing it wrong. I wasted half my days trying on others' ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody knows the key? 'Cause I think I'm doing this wrong. 'Cause I think I'm doing this wrong. Doing this wrong. Oh, he came here with her. And what's the big problem that you can't endure? You seem so sure it's not appropriate blaming. You blame things on Scott, despite getting caught. He's got you reframing for him, straining for him, going to the gym, make yourself good enough again. Yeah, you guys both have lots invested. That's not a reason to stay around. For the years you've both been tested. Time to move up and higher ground. Oh, he came here with her. And what's the big problem that you can't endure? You seem so sure it's not appropriate blaming. To blame things on Scott, despite getting caught. He's got you reframing for him, straining for him, going to the gym, make yourself good enough again. Be done with him. If Jesus Jesus was people, but absent of sin. He must then have struggled with regular men and women, of course, when they too were present. Disciples all warily eyeing the lesson. Jesus, once they're betrayed, easy believing forever is lost. Maybe naivete is not to be saved, but the wise pay terrible cost. If people were Jesus, they'd know what they think, and everyone's word would be true. And feelings weren't spoken would sit where they sing, and we'd all know just what to do. People who urge Jesus, once they're betrayed, easy believing forever is lost. Maybe. So, well, I clogged the toilet. And I couldn't find the plunger because probably my dad's bathroom. So I'm going to have to unclog the toilet before Rachel has to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
No, they're not going to use a stick or a hanger or a spatula, Mrs. Bone. I'm going to use the plunger. Make sure to use a lot of pressure. Thanks. Thanks for all the toilet unclogging advice from the TE users in the group. Greatly appreciated. I have unclogged a few toilets in my life. I'm known to have very large poos. Look at all the advice. Guys, on this one, I just want commiseration, okay? I don't want you to solve my problem. I just want you to feel with me. Okay, cool. So we have thanks, Jeff Shaw. We have a bit of a relationship thing here that I'd like to bring up that I'm feeling bad about, and I'm not sure if I was wise to have brought it up to Rachel necessarily, but I did, and she says it was wise of me to bring it up to her because it's better than not bringing it up. But anyway, so my father has on a couple of occasions in the past indicated to me that he didn't want me to marry Rachel. And I was never really sure why, because he always began with like, now don't get me wrong, I like Rachel. Rachel's great. There's nothing wrong with Rachel, but you're not planning on getting married, are you? And so the other day I realized, it occurred to me, oh, I know why he's saying this. It's because he wants to make sure that Delilah is my heir. He's thinking in terms of like estate stuff. And he's worried that I'm gonna marry Rachel, then I'm gonna die, and then Delilah's gonna get cut out of the loop or something. Now, there's no chance of that actually happening, but that's what he's worried about, and so I hadn't figured out why he didn't want me to marry her until just the other day, and then this evening I decided out of the blue, I don't know what made me decide to bring it up, but I said, "Oh, Rachel, I wanted to tell you something," and it's like as soon as I started to say that, I thought to myself, Eric, why are you saying this? Why are you telling her this? But
Whether you had to, like, I'd be so upset.
but the thing is, I do know why I was telling her. I thought that it would be reassuring to her in some fashion that because I know that there is a power discrepancy between us in the relationship in terms of sort of practical TE positioning of ourselves, that I'm in a better practical TE position in life than she is if things fall apart. But I mean, I'm as serious as a heart attack about the relationship. She's my wife as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not going anywhere, and I never want to be with anybody else. She's my final life partner. But this, me relating the story to her, she was just saying to me that she's sad and she's been crying and stuff, and I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that I did something wrong here, but I'm not really sure how to fix it, and I want to know if you guys have any advice for me. Yeah, for a while I really didn't understand why he was saying that, because he's never been inherently opposed to marriage before, and he always was stressing it wasn't about Rachel. No, I like Rachel. Rachel's great, but so I genuinely didn't understand for a while. I couldn't figure it out, and of course, you can't ask him why really. He'd just be like, you just don't worry about it. Well, I don't think I handled it poorly, Alex Rodriguez. I don't think Rachel's accusing me of handling it poorly. She's not saying I should have done anything differently. But my challenge is I want her to understand that, well, Horseman always says there's not any dispersion on Rachel. It's about the legal procedure complications. There should be some simple way to provide for both of them in your estate, and you should ask her about that. And of course, don't worry. I mean, that's what I was trying to sort of say to Rachel as well, is that neither she nor my dad has anything to worry about, in the sense that I will make sure that, to the extent that once I'm in this position, presumably, where my dad passes and I'm in charge of the estate, I'll make sure that she's taken care of, and that the whatever you want to call it, inheritance line doesn't change anyway. So that I don't know what to say about that, except that seems like the right thing to do all across the board. And I guess I had not really explained all that to Rachel, because I had not maybe heretofore understood that piece about that my dad was concerned about, or factored it into my thinking very much. So I don't know how to make her unsad. Look, probate can be a can of worms. And my dad's put a lot of time into establishing living trusts that set parameters for things and that avoid certain tax penalties and stuff like that. So it is the case that that there are complicated legal reasons why my dad would want to make sure that the existing legal statuses of the various people in the family don't change. But Winston's mom, Rachel doesn't need to worry about anything. And of course, the other thing to remember is that few people can say they have a clearer path to being okay long term than Rachel can claim, if you look at the general population. So while it's not perhaps perfect, it's I don't think that that worrying about the future is especially well indicated by the status quo. Interesting how the Washington Redskins changed their name even though they still celebrate Christopher Columbus Day. We like to call it Native American Civilizing Day. It'll all work out. You just have to have an open conviction with the four of you so they're on the same page. You'll all love each other. Well, it's not possible really to be on the same page with my dad about things. My dad is an increasingly ESTJ, maybe. So like I was saying in an earlier live stream, if dinner's at 6 o'clock and he finishes cooking it early and it's ready at 5:50, he comes out here and he's like, "Wow, what are you guys doing? Why, it's dinner time. What are you doing out there?" And then if it's ready at 6 o'clock and we show up at 5:50, he's like, "What are you doing in here? You're early." It's it's no win, right? So well, it's same thing with Delilah. Rachel had this great NIFE idea and was followed through on it. I'm very grateful she did, so that Delilah ended up being here. If Rachel hadn't said to me on a few occasions, "Don't forget, call Delilah about Thanksgiving," then I would have not called her about Thanksgiving, and she wouldn't have been here today. Instead, she was here today. Okay? That made my dad very happy. And yet, at the same time, what happened last night, or I guess maybe the night before, whenever it was, that I informed my dad that I talked to Delilah and that she'd be stopping by for Thanksgiving, was I told about this? Did anybody ask me about this? The food's already ordered. This is about, informing him that his beloved granddaughter is coming to Thanksgiving. Of course, when she's here, he's very glad she's here. He's very grateful she's here. It makes Thanksgiving what he wants it to be. But in his mind, he hadn't planned for her coming, and therefore anything that interferes with that plan is rah, 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 rah. It doesn't matter how good of an idea it is. Well, that's exactly what he said. I already ordered the food. I said, well, he's got to go to she's got to go to her mom's house afterwards. Anyway, she's going to eat down there. So it's going to be fine. It's like, wow, I'm sure maybe I'll be off anywhere. I don't know. Or Or what happened just yesterday, again, I think, or the day before. My dad was in here talking with Cameron, and Delilah's mom speaks English, and Delilah's mom is a native English speaker. She was born in America. She's not Mexican. Delilah's grandmother is Mexican. Delilah's grandfather is from West Virginia and went down to Mexico and got a Mexican woman and married her and brought her back to America and had kids with her. What's really interesting about that grass eater is that Tom didn't even speak any Spanish. He didn't even speak any Spanish when he went down to Mexico, but he learned it real quick. He's a savant when it comes to the language pickup. I think he might be an ISTJ or an INTJ. He's what you'd call spectrum. Union SZN, thank you. I appreciate your advice there. I'm not going to be that thwacked. I anticipate sleeping tonight probably. So anyway, regarding Rachel in general, I want her to understand that I find her as precious as she finds me. And she makes it very clear to me that she finds me very precious. And I appreciate that a great deal. And I feel sometimes inadequate to the task of convincing her that I'm just as 1,000,000% in the boat as she is. She sees things through an NI frame. And from an NI frame of reference, she's going to sort of unavoidably note things like, well, you have a lot of, if things were to fall apart, or you have plenty of options, you'd segue to a new relationship and no, I mean, I think the bottom line is I'm not going to address this issue at all with my dad. I'm going to go along with my dad's wishes here and not marry Rachel until after my dad passes. I don't want it to. Any TE suggestions are going to be received in the same way as Rachel's great TE suggestion the other day was. Cameron and my dad are talking about my mom, because Cameron works with my mom occasionally too. And Cameron mentioned that my mom kept tugging at her capris. She's got capri pants. They're neither long nor short pants. They're in the middle, right? They're called capris. And she likes to tug at it. And, my dad is constantly seeking for some problem to solve when it comes to my mom, because there's nothing he can do about it, right? So he's looking for some problem to solve. So he starts, okay, well, we need to address this, blah, 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 blah. And so Rachel has the very good idea that there's this fidgety, what is it called? You put your two hands in it?
Muff.
A muff?
It's like a set. It's like specifically for like people with dementia and stuff, like a sensory thing.
So his sister, my dad's sister, my aunt, made this thing. Okay, thank you, Dave Simpson. And it's got little like fidgety things in it. It's for people with dementia, right? So Rachel points out maybe we should take that to her. She liked it when she was here. And my dad, it takes him 6 steps to put 2 and 2 together. First he goes, well, that's been here, Rachel. Yeah, we know it's been here, Dad. She's suggesting we take it to Mom so that she has something to fidget with. And my dad goes, well, Evelyn made that. And I go, yeah, but you see, we're talking about this whole fidget thing here, right? And the problem was that he's in the middle of doing his TE planning on shit, right? And all of a sudden, here comes a solution from a field that he's not looking towards. And to him, it first and foremost disrupts his planning process rather than solves the problem because he's in this TE frame of reference, right? But the cool thing about my dad is by the time it had gotten conveyed to him and he had sort of realized, oh, I see, okay, there's a link here. And we were walking away, he actually went up to Rachel and said, like, oh, that was a good idea, Rachel, good idea.
Yeah.
Sort of like begrudgingly or a little late. No, Evelyn, my aunt, is not the same as that Evelyn. Okay? That's the Evelyn here is not the same as my aunt Evelyn. It's a different Evelyn. So anyway, it's a difficult reality. And what Evelyn said is she was thinking to herself, just marry Rachel after your dad dies, but she didn't think it was FE appropriate to say that bluntly. But yeah, well, that's my take on it as well, is just marry her after my dad dies, and then we don't have to worry about it, and then, whatever. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about it at all is because Rachel has indicated to me that she feels sad. That she feels like something has changed in some perspective, or that she's been demoted in some way.
It's weird. I guess it just takes. You know why? Because like I said to you, I just feel like. Oh. Like, I hang on to these, like, words, like, like, whatever, I don't fucking know, it's so different, because, like, we've gone through so much in a year, and, like, the things that you say, like, at first it was like, yeah, definitely we'll get married, and then then we realized, okay, like kids are out of the picture because I have a mental illness, and now it's like marriage is out of the picture because like your dad doesn't go along with his plan. It just doesn't. So it's like things getting cut out. And then I'm like, okay, well, when am I going to hear, like, oh, I know we were, I don't know. You meet someone else, or you just, like, are, like, I don't know, you leave or something. Or, like, I don't know. I can't see anything like that happening.
Not going to leave. I'm not going to meet anybody else. I'm not open to meeting anybody else. I'm actively of the school of thought that says avoid even the appearance of impropriety. I don't let myself even go anywhere close to that sort of thing. So it's not even conceivable. I'm very much an SI person. The longer I have invested in somebody, the more comfortable and relaxed I am with them, and the more, and this relationship is head and shoulders above any relationship I've ever had before. It's qualitatively superior. It's the right relationship. It's the only time I've ever been in the right relationship, and I'm quite certain the only time I ever will be in the right relationship. If I were to leave this relationship, I would never find anybody as compatible with me again. I'm 100% certain of that, having been in lots of relationships. Legends Fall says, if I were in a relationship with Eric, I would trust him. He doesn't seem interested enough in sex to cheat.
That's true.
It's dead on the fucking money, dude. That's right on the money. Although the thing is, I'm more interested in sex with Rachel than I ever have been before, because she brings it out of me. She's what you might call lust-inducing.
That's nice. Thank you, baby. It's just so weird. Like, I feel like my reaction is weird too. It's just, I have been in this odd state of mind, like state of mood, really, since I burnt my hand. And, it's, I was always okay with us not getting married. I was always okay with that because I don't.
It's a lot of paperwork.
It just doesn't. Right.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So, Evelyn says, would a symbolic marriage work or having a non-legal ceremony? I think we talked about that before, and
That's what I would like.
that would be fine. I would have no problem. I think it's a good idea. We should do it with, like at a meetup, like in Vegas or something, where everybody can go, and we'll have a ceremony, and we'll live stream it and everything. And we'll get one of the people from the channel to officiate it.
That's funny, yeah. Yeah, like I'm down for that. It's just I don't wanna, like, a nightmare would be for one day you wake up and it's like,
you know what, all that shit I was saying was kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Rachel, you gotta remember what time of my life I'm in too, right? I'm revving up for the main event in life, and there are certain things that have to come into place before the main event can happen. This is one of those things. You and me are one of the things that needed to fall into place before the main event of life could happen for me, which is essentially, I don't have to waste any attention on chicks at all. I got that handled. Yeah. I got the perfect chick. Now, life's going to start to kick into a higher gear at some point, and it's gonna start to require increasingly more of me professionally. Yeah. And a lot of the things it's going to require me initially are going to be things that you can certainly be as integrated with as you wish. Like this morning, I'm getting more and more typings, and that's good. I need the money, and the last thing the stupidest thing I could possibly do, Rachel, would be to break apart shit that I finally got right. Not gonna happen.
I think because I feel like I got this right too.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Okay, there's no chance in hell. Okay. Zero chance. The thing is, how much energy have I spent publicly proclaiming that as well? I'm not going anywhere.
You're right. I don't want you to go anywhere, and that's why I'm like this. That's the only reason why.
I know. I appreciate it. You love me.
I do love you.
I feel very well loved. And I've never felt like that before, really. I've never felt like my significant other loved me. I always felt like my significant other wanted to fix me. And wanted to tell me what was wrong with me. That's always been my experience heretofore.
Yeah, me too.
My dad appears smart all the time, and yet he has his boneheaded anti-polar moments too. It's like we can listen to my dad talk about anything, and he knows all about it. So there was, I was reading that book Persepolis or whatever it's called, and there was a brief bit of history in it involving transition from this guy, a Turk, to this other guy who, eventually into the Shah of Iran. And I don't remember how it came up, but from a totally unrelated direction, my dad started talking about this, about Turkish history, Turkish or not Turkish, Persian history, and specifically the history of Persia into Iran, and knew all these historical figures that were involved in everything, and he can talk intelligently about all kinds of shit, unbelievable amount of shit. The ESTJs are most likely to be the millionaire next door, just a guy saving his salary, investing conservatively, buying a good home that appreciates in value, getting some duplexes, and being their own property manager as they make their son go up there and paint. Son, tenants moved out.
Oh my gosh, it does sound like, oh fuck.
So we'll be leaving tomorrow morning at around 5:30.
Oh.
5:30, huh? Great. Okay. Good night. Looks like my weekend's shot.
Oh.
Son, not like that. Okay, Dad. No. You don't need to go over the same spot so many times. Okay, it's already painted. You're wasting paint. Oh, for fuck's sake, you gotta be kidding me. Dad, can we just okay. Whatever. That was my childhood. My weekend. So many weekends spent working on the properties in the high desert. It's like we were slumlords basically. The duplexes that we had were not bad places or anything, and we upkept them. We weren't like, no, we're not going to fix the heat or anything, but we just got slummy people in there. So, they'd be there for 6 months. They'd leave, and then it would be just trashed, and we have to go in there and clean it up again.
Yeah.
Do I think my dad TE molded me in a positive manner? Yeah, I mean, I think it made me less able and willing to defend shirking than I might otherwise have been. But I don't like it. It didn't make me want to be like that. It didn't make me want to go be on top of everything. But it just did make me it's very easy to be like, hey, come on, Eric, get your ass in gear. And I'll be like, okay, here I go. Don't worry. It's really easy to do that to me because I was raised with, hey, get your ass in gear. 5:35. What the fuck are you doing? I'm going pee, Dad.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you this, Legends Fall, what I saw today about ESTP versus ENTP intelligence. Delilah's frustrated because on a lot of these kind of puzzle things, she sees me as being smarter than her. And so she came over today and she's like, let's have a Sudoku race. So we both opened up an easy Sudoku on the same page, and I thought I was doing quite well. I was like going along, getting, okay, this has got to be this got to be this, and yeah. I was about halfway done, and she's like, done. Damn, girl. So I wonder if she says, well, I've been practicing a lot. Well, I've done Sudokus for a long ass time.
Yeah.
I used to do them a lot. So I think that it's quite possible that SETI, an easy Sudoku race between me and an ESTP that I'm typing might very well be a way to distinguish between the two, or an ISTP. That SETI may be better at Sudoku, and the reason for that might be that I potentiate too much. Like, I go, well, Okay, so if this were a 1 there, then since there's a 1 there, then the 1 would have to be here. But if the 1 were over here, then yeah, when maybe there's some more NI approach to it that makes SETI better. What I think is fundamentally a TI kind of puzzle. I think Sudokus are basically TI puzzles, but I'm not especially good at them. I'm not bad at them either, but it's certainly possible to give me a super hard one that I will give up before I solve, I guess, and maybe come back to it and be able to solve it eventually. But Delilah seemed to indicate that she doesn't really encounter ones that she can't solve. It just takes her like 45 minutes. Well, I don't know if I spent 45 minutes on it if I could solve it or not. So I know. I mean, I know that I could solve any given Sudoku that's solvable eventually if I put in enough sort of brute force NETI onto it. But at that point, it ceases to be fun if it's complicated enough. You know, if they give you few enough pieces to work with. Rachel, is there anything I can do to make you feel better? Do or say or?
You have been everything you're saying. It's just a hard reality. You know, it's just like option taken away. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Okay.
That's it. But what matters more to me is like if we did like the meetup sort of thing. I don't know. It's just I'm on my period. I'm tired. Yeah.
Forgot about that whole menstrual thing. See, I got to give myself credit for that. I am so not inclined to blame, to attribute behaviors or wrongness to ontological things that I always forget that girls on their periods do have a little bit more hormonal stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. Correct. It's just like I don't want. Just like I said, we went over and like you assured me that wouldn't happen. I don't want one day there to be a sit down of like, so we're together.
Can you imagine, Rachel? You got to remember as I told you at the beginning, before a relationship would ever come to an end, no matter what, it better be after months of really heated fighting.
Yeah.
I'm not one to be. If you're imagining it sort of like there might possibly be an ongoing process of me getting less into this going on while not talking to you about it and then surprising you at some point.
God.
Impossible. It's not a possible thing. First of all, I don't have things going on in my head that I don't talk about unless they're undetermined still. So once it's determined, I can't not talk about it. For example, I probably shouldn't have talked about this.
No, I know.
But once I had to figure out in my head, I could not talk about it. It just comes out of my mouth.
No, I would have been upset. I'm glad you told me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Swift Eagle says, Eric, have you ever been celibate? Sure. After my divorce from my second wife, I chased this girl for a couple of weeks, finally ended up successfully bedding her, and then was like, boy, was that totally not worth it. It's like all that effort just to hump this girl, and it's like we're not going to be in a relationship or anything, that's for sure. She was an ISFP, and it just, it was pretty obvious that it wasn't for that. It was more like, hey, let's see about having casual sex. Anyway, after that, I went a year without any being celibate because I realized at that point, like, okay, this is not going to do. I am not going to spend all this time and energy trying to, because it takes a lot of time and energy. If you're trying to to get laid, quote unquote. Let's say you are using Facebook, as I was at the time, and I knew, like, okay, this chick is single. I used to have the hots for her before, even from way back when, and I got married and whatever, and now I'm single and she's single, and hey, maybe I can get on this girl, right? Well, what do? You gotta message them. You gotta message them again. You gotta chat them up. You gotta schmooze. You gotta like their shit on Facebook, the right amount, but not too much, and the right kind of things. You gotta flirt with them a little bit. It takes, and then you get them to go out with you, and then you can't try to get on them right away. You gotta and it's just at that point you just go, okay, this is totally not worth it. And so after that, I was celibate and not looking for a chick or anything for a full year. And then after that, I started getting frustrated. I said, okay, I'm sick and tired of this now. I want to get a chick now. And then I got, kind of mixed up with that married woman in Tennessee, and that didn't end well, obviously. And then I said, okay, no more internet. I'm going local. And I got Kimberly, and that didn't end well, obviously. You sent me a Gmail. Have I seen your pic? No, I have not seen it. Love Amazing Facts sent me a picture of themselves. Okay, let's
Things
see.
that happen on TWFP.
Let's see what we got here.
Do the lighter.
If by lighter you mean this,
Orange.
yes, I do. Okay. Okay, somebody wants to book a typing session Sunday at 12 a.m. That's Saturday night at midnight. Let me look at the calendar. Now you got me into my email. I got to do a bunch of shit. See what you do? See how you do that shit to me? That's what you do. That's how you do it. Saturday night at midnight is Sunday morning at, typing session.
I want to see this picture, and I'll probably go to bed after.
Okay. Let's see. Email guests. Yeah. Copy email address, and put the here, with the and then with the and typing session to begin midnight EST on Saturday, aka 12:01 a.m. Sunday morning. There. How professional of me. I'm like a real typing professional. Another one. 11:28. What's the date today? 26, Saturday. What time? What time would 28th in Los Angeles time, please. Thanks, Dirk. Oh, the things that happen when I open my email.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I've got shit to do. Okay. What's your name? Namey Pants. Who sent me the thing? I'll delete some of these. Yes. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, it's a Christmassy time. In the air there's a feeling of Christmas. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow.
Meow, 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 meow.
Sure, why not? Will I respond to this email? Eric, why does the live stream become a collection pond of waste? These are the sort of things I am talking about. These are the sort of things. Hoping you'll inveigle. I want to inveigle you? Is this a word?
I've never heard it before. I do have to use the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah, well, you know. Learn a new word every day.
Yeah.
Happy to be introduced to inveigle. Maybe I'll get it. If I get it, I'll certainly review it. Okay, I don't see your picture, Mr. Picture Person, whoever you are. I don't see any pictures. I see, I'm all the way back to now, November 24th. What day did you send me a picture? Reason Magazine sends me an instruction. Be grateful for capitalism this Thanksgiving. Wise advice, Reason Magazine. Wise advice indeed. I don't know where your picture is, Home Fries. I don't know. I don't see any. I don't see no stinking picture. I don't see no stinking picture. Love amazing facts.
That's funny. start.
Is that your email name? Love Amazing Facts?
I'm gonna go to bed.
Good night, my darling.
Good night, I love you.
I love you too, precious angel. Don't forget that you're a precious angel. No one can deny.
Don't leave me behind.
Never. Never, ever, ever. Okay? You're safe with me.
Okay.
Okay. You should. There's lots of public witnesses here.
This is true. Good night.
Good night. So I'm still looking for this so-called picture that I have been sent that I see no indication of anywhere. I see a David Sanderson link to a COVID video. Cobus van der Bijl has been sending me lots of messages, and I responded to a couple of them early, and now I'm being inundated with messages from, what's his name again? Yonton Halu sent me a message I need to respond to. I don't know who that is. Oh, these emails that I get. They're so great and fun. Yeah, someone sends me an email saying, will you respond to this email? Yes? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just not buying this you send me a picture thing. Let me look in my spam folder. Let's see if you got spammed. Mr. Roy Peterson says, I have a donation of $4.5 million. Email me back on how to proceed. Mr. Roy Peterson, you're going to donate $4.5 million to me? Wow. I'm shocked that one got put into spam. I don't see anything in the mail that would suggest that you ended up in spam. Social. Well, I don't know. No picture, I guess. That's a long way away from the live stream, looking for a picture that doesn't exist. Well, I mean, the thing is, Love Amazing Facts is somebody who's been around here for quite some time and who actually asked me earlier today if they could send me a picture of themselves because they think they're an INFP and they want to know if I think they look like one. And, it's just there's nothing that suggests that it's even, I've seen them around for a while, and they've been here for quite some time before suggesting sending me a picture. So, regardless, I don't think they sent it to me, or they sent the wrong email address or something, because I don't see anything like that. If it were sketchy anyway, you know. Theology is the study of Theo from The Cosby Show. What can we learn from him? Who can tell me? What can we learn from Theo Huxtable of The Cosby Show? That is the question that theology asks us to answer. Theo Huxtable, he had some good qualities, and he made some bad ideas too. Like, he wasn't really that good with money. The theological metaphysical theory is a theory of what would Theo Huxtable do? It's like, what would Jesus do, but it's easier to determine the answer. How many Theo Huxtables would it take to screw in a light bulb? The answer is just one, because Theo Huxtable is so badass. Any question that begins with how many Theo Huxtables, if it's a good thing, the answer is one or less than one. And if it's a bad thing, then zero. Theo doesn't do that. Homie, don't play that, as they say in the television world, in the world of television. If you've not seen it, there's a medium known as television. And what they do is they broadcast magical television waves through the air via broadcast television signals that are entirely analog. No, they're not. I'm lying. They're digital now. God. Why do things have to change? That's what makes me wrong. That's when I get wrong, is when things change,
Hey.
Hi, David Sanderson.
Could have brought a notebook or something. Maybe I'd ask you some questions.
Well, CJ O'Connell points out something pretty important. Television is magic with a K on the end, but it still has the C. It's got both of them. So, David Sanderson, I hear earlier you were asking a lot of questions about, hey, what's a good volleyball-themed high school Japanese animation show I could watch? Well, I've got the answer for you. It's called High Q. Don Knotts was in Pleasantville, one of his last roles, I believe. One of the few roles that Don Knotts played in which he didn't say, "But Andy."
You were asking a load of questions about what?
A
lot.
He was asking a lot of questions about whatever it was I just said. Oh, High Q, right. About wanting to know about what would be a good volleyball-themed anime show to begin watching. You love Mr. Furley. Adrian B., Mr. Furley is just one in a series of Don Knotts' genius performances. Beginning, of course, and most memorably, playing the role of Barney Fife in the show Andy Griffith, in which he was known at least once per episode to say, "But Andy!" I've got the perfect blah. You know, that's my Don Knotts imitation. Well, now, Barney, you know we can't just go around disobeying the law. But Andy, I need a gun with bullets in it. Nobody's gonna take me seriously. Don Knotts, nobody's ever gonna take you seriously. It doesn't matter how many bullets you have. That's what I hear. That's what I hear, Grass Eater, that Don Knotts was a really unselfish lover. I think we all know what that means.
No. Let's see.
Oh,
Jesse Donald Knotts was an American actor.
I think we all know what that means. It's something similar to being a grass eater. Juanita from the diner is such a loudmouth. No, I like Don Knotts. I'm a big believer in Don Knotts' neuroticism. You know, he was a hypochondriac. He would spend his whole 80, 90-year-old life thinking he was dying of this disease or that disease. It's kind of fun.
Brownies? Okay.
He also really had quite a taste for the ladies. You know, I think he had like 3 or 4 wives over the course of his life. And you know who else? Oddly, kind of in a Woody Allen vein, maybe. Except I think Don Knotts wasn't shady at all. But you get those little nerdy dudes. You know, from what I've heard, from what I've read, from what I imagine. Like Woody Allen, you wouldn't think of him being super pimping or anything, but you know, apparently he really liked to have a lot of sexual intercourse, and he liked to have, you know, like threesomes and stuff. You said you were going to make them. What are you going to make them? Make what? Nerdy pimps? You're going to make nerdy pimps? How do you make nerdy pimps? Oh, pot brownies. Cool. How good. How delicious. Everybody loves pot brownies. Don didn't want to let on to Andy what the bullets were really for. He was just trying to keep Eskimo Nell satisfied. I don't get that joke, but I'm sure it's hilarious. Okay, I'm confident. I'm confident that if I did get it, it would be hilarious. Are you transubstantiating pot brownies to us, ISHA 12? I really appreciated in the earlier live stream that Winston's mom linked to to Ned. When we were driving down to Montebello a little while ago, I put that on in the car. I looked up Ned, because it reminded me what his name was, Ned from Groundhog's Day, and I heard him say it. Am I right or am I right or am I right?
Who knows?
What thing with Woody's son, Ronan Farrow? Is he not really Woody's son? Is he really Frank Sinatra's son? That's what I hear. That's what I hear. Ronan Farrow is actually Frank Sinatra's son. Which means what? That's right. Something like 30 years after breaking up, Frank Sinatra was still banging Mia Farrow. That's pretty pimpin'.
out how to do that thing where you can stream on both platforms. That would be pretty cool. I still haven't researched that, but I think that we should do that at some point. Maybe tomorrow.
I mean, I was streaming on both platforms, but it's just.
Yeah, but you can't.
I went to Twitch and I tried to figure out how to set it up so it would like save my streams, and it doesn't seem to save them. So I don't like that. What's the point?
Well, usually
the streaming if it doesn't save it.
Go to save stream. That's the first thing that comes up. Want to save a video for your own stream that is possible at any time in the given time frame. Of course, the video must also be recorded by Twitch. To enable this, select Settings, Channel in the dashboard, and activate the automatic saving of your live streams with Store Past Broadcasts.
Okay. So you mean I should have Googled it?
Probably.
Is that what you're trying to tell me? Okay, well, instead of Googling, I just got frustrated and said, "Meow!" That's as good a response, right?
Yeah.
I think that's just as good.
Well, I don't really have T as absolute value either, but at least it's second slot.
Yeah. It's a lot better than me. I mean, it's so funny the way that my porked hands hands down has to be the most unromantic way to describe having had sex. Okay, well, CJ O'Connell, porked is a good first offering for this, but I agree we have a lot of other options. Okay, boinked, banged, smashed, snogged. I believe that's British for that, I think. How about this? Ee-oo. That's pretty unromantic. All right, this is the most unromantic. And then we ee-oo. Snog means kiss. Oh. How about, and then we co-ed wrestled. Is co-ed wrestling a euphemism for sexual intercourse? Fleshy penetration? And then I befouled her innocence. There's currently no text on this page. Thanks, Winston's mom. Great link. Great link, Winston's mom. There's no text on that page. Inveigle. Do you guys know that word? Inveigle? I learned a new word today. That's what the kids call it these days, co-ed wrestling. It's a PC thing. We could call it Title IXing. I Title IX'd her. I wanted to make sure there was equal representation in the sex act, male and female. So, I wanted to make sure I didn't violate Title IX prescriptions. You might say, I cast her as townsperson A. That's still not really very good, Eric. It's better than townsperson B. Boned, a boned her, a poked. What about poke? Poke is a pretty unromantic way of saying things. Did you poke? That's what, when I was in college and you went out with a girl or something and you returned, your friends would say, bro, did you poke? No. It wasn't like that, okay? It's like, it just didn't go there. But bro, you got poked though, right? But bro, though, that's how it was in Santa Cruz back in 1990. Poke. To poke. Poke is, yeah, I'm going to give you, let me introduce you to Townsperson D. Excellent. ISHJ 12, 5 points. 5 points for that, for sure. Brother, did you poke? Exactly, CJ O'Connell. That's the expression. Yes, you did. On the same vein as befiling her innocence, you could say, I have desecrated her purity. That's always a good expression as well. Bruh, did you desecrate her purity with your man meat? Indeed, I did. Poke, pork, and bone. I think pork and poke are your two most unromantic terms, probably. They're neither. Okay, did you hit that shit? That's pretty unromantic too. Yeah, yeah, I hit that shit. I mean, that's very unromantic because pumped. Did you pump? I've never heard that expression. I would assume you were asking if I had pumped gas or iron. Those are the things I think of being pumped. You pump iron, you pump gas, you slay. To slay is not just, see, the thing is, slay is different than poke, pork, boink, or any of those things, because say that you slay means that you poke many different chicks. You pump holes. You jiggled or puff. Jigglypuff, Jigglypuff. Well, as you guys know, I'm beginning my new plan for world domination, and rule number 1 is we are eliminating from legal activities both dry humping and heavy petting. So we're also making the legal age for first base 25, and we're requiring a lengthy symposium be taken before anybody approaches second base. We're removing third base entirely, and receiving a license for anal will require an extensive training session with lots of homework and bookwork. So, yeah, we're going to regulate. I'm a big believer in regulation. You know what the problem is? Things around here, they're irregular. Hot beef injection? That's a silly expression. Parking the meat car. Parting the flesh curtains. Delving the velvety folds. Did you delve for velvety folds? Is a good expression. Tapped that ass. See, that seems a little bit not very romantic. It's not nearly as romantic as delved for velvety folds or stuff the hot pocket. That's a good one. I like it. Believe it or not, there is somebody known as the Hot Pocket Queen. And who is she? Well, she's the heir to the Hot Pocket, the Hot Pocket Empire. Heiress to the Hot Pocket fortune. Look at this. Oh my God. This is terrible news. You've got to see. Everybody's got to see the huge news. The heiress to the Hot Pocket fortune had to pay $100,000. Why? Well, I can't link it. The link's too big. The URL's too big. Why is it that she had to pay $100,000? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because, share, copy link URL. Let's see if it's still so long. Maybe they have a shorter URL. There. Yes, there really is an heir to the Hot Pocket fortune. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that one of those things that makes life wonderful? You want to know what else is extremely wonderful? I so much hope this happens. So the current LA County Sheriff is in hot water with the County Board of Supervisors, and they may end up removing him. My next door neighbor that I grew up across the street from, named Chad Smeltzer, and he's a lieutenant with the LA County Sheriffs. And it just so happens that because of his age, position, and a lot of other factors, that if, in fact, they end up pulling this current elected sheriff, no, Chad's definitely an ESTJ. I mean, he's always been an ESTJ. He was an ESTJ. It's like hanging out with Chad was like, I shit you not. It was like this. Eric, hey, Chad, there's some workmen around the corner on Joaquin. They're digging up the street. Cool. Let's go watch it. Okay. Let me go over there and be like, you see that bulldozer, the digger thing? That they call that a meh. It's a meh. I shit you not. That's the kind of stuff he wanted to do as a child. Go look at construction sites to talk about the machines they were using there. So anyway, the point is this. If, in fact, they pull the elected sheriff and they replace him with an interim sheriff, there's a decent chance that it'll be my childhood friend and the guy I still see all the time because his mom still lives across the street and he's always there helping her out because she's super old, then he might become interim LA County Sheriff. I would think that would be just the most hilariously awesome thing ever. Because, oh, my bad. I just glanced at it, the article. So I stand corrected. Anyway, but the point of that story, Horace Farnborough, is that she's the heir to the goddamn Hot Pocket fortune. And I mean, how can such a hilarious thing like that exist in the world? It's what makes, there's this horribly titled book that I always think about the title of anyway. And it must be incredibly well titled for me to both hate the title so much and for it to influence my thinking so much at the same time. And that title is The Unbearable Lightness of Being. I think it's the most pretentious goddamn title I've ever heard in my life. Pisses me off. And yet there's a lot of times when I think there's no better way in the world to express what I experience sometimes. It's like the fact that there's a Hot Pocket heiress. It makes me feel the unbearable lightness of being. It's like, how wonderful. How wonderful and horrible at the same time. And so perfectly absurd. hot pocket heiress. Isn't that beautiful? It's moving. It's moving that reality provides such a great, hilarious reality. Great. Well, listen to this, Horse Mumbler. People who are included are really damn stupid. That may be true. You know who wasn't stupid? The guy who invented the Hot Pocket. That's a great invention. That's like instant mouth burn. If you, let's say you were a supervillain and you wanted to induce a generation's worth of people to burn their mouth. Boom. And you want to get rich off it too. Okay? You want to induce a lot of mouth burns and you want to get rich off it. Well, you're going to name a food product Hot Pocket, which makes everybody immediately think of vaginas. And bam, there you go. You've got a national sensation of passionate interest in unavoidable mouth burns so that you can feed the Hot Pocket fortune so that eventually their bimbo of a girl daughter can be bribed into a fancy university, the degree from which will do her no good anyway, just so that you can look good to the other heiresses of things like, I don't know. I mean, like, is there like an heir to the ShamWow fortune or something? You know, it's like that would be equivalent, right? I'm the heir to the ShamWow fortune. What's the point of a fancy university if a degree is a degree? To look good for your friends, obviously. Like, you know, that lady who's married to that guy that was in Fargo, you know what I'm talking about? That lady. Why does she want to get her kid into a fancy college so bad? The kid's like, I don't want to go to college. I'm enjoying being an influencer. You know. So the thing is, I really do. I want there to be an heir to the ShamWow fortune. I want there to be a reality show about her, in which she talks shit about how dumb ShamWows are, of course. The Full House lady. I saw this funny Saturday Night Live thing about like one of the Olsen twins. It was like, for some reason, I dress and act like my grandmother now. Man, if you got the golden ticket and you're the last remaining person left, and Willy Wonka is about to hand you the fraction of the fortune, but you have to do something for him. You have to suck his lollipop. Would I? What flavor lollipop is it? Cassandra has made her fortune in caterpillars. Flesh flavored, huh? Probably not. No. I don't think I'd prostitute myself for a candy factory. Dick flavored. Here. Hey, I got you a pack of chewing gum. It's dick flavored. Try it. You're gonna sue Hillshire Farm for their juicy jalapeno sausage dog that when they bit into it squirted hot, spicy, cheesy grease into your eye. Well, at least your eye wasn't hungry anymore. We're all acting out a hot pocket tonight. Whoa, everybody calm down. It's like everybody's running out of hot pockets at the same time. I can understand the panic, but let's calm it down. Keep it chill. Okay, we're gonna be okay. We'll make do with Hillshire Farms juicy jalapeno sausage dogs instead. Grass eater, what is up with you and your weird things that you say sometimes? Legends Fall makes a good point. Adrian B, is that some sort of metaphor? Is that some sort of body metaphor you're making here? Is your boyfriend's name Hillshire Farm? Oh, did I mention my boyfriend's name's Hillshire Farm? That'd be a funny name for somebody to have as their name. Wait, your name's Hillshire Farm? Yeah, that's my name. Your parents' last name is Farm? Yep, we're the Farms. And they decided to name you Hillshire? Well, they were big fans of the sausage. I don't know if you ever tried the juicy jalapeno sausage dog, but exquisite. I mean, that's a cutesy name you have for him. Hey there, Hillshire Farm. My name's Adrian B. Ew, I'm a sexy lady. Yeah, well, let me tell you. When Rachel's feeling in a saucy mood, she calls me Host Derek. Well, then I know it's on. Hi, Host Derek. TMI? Probably TMI. I'm feeling pretty happy right now. It makes me sad that I made Rachel sad, but then when I realized, oh, she's on her period, because it's not like there was really anything new that I thought that was being said there, except I was just sort of explaining my thinking, I guess, since it took me a while to figure that thing out that I was talking about before. But now I'm thinking maybe she's just, in a sad mood. And she has anxiety because she's an NI type, and she tends to see things not through the frame of an SI person who values people because she always keeps me updated on that. Like a couple days till period time. I'm like, yeah, right on. Those are those occasions when I think, you know what? This is low. This is satisfactorily low risk that I'm just not gonna pull out. That's why she lets me know when it's getting close to period time. I blew it because I was like, last night I was tired. I was like, I didn't want to go like take a shower, and I didn't want to have like half-assed intercourse because I didn't take a shower. But I knew a period was coming today. I thought maybe I'd hit it this morning, and then I had just like this brief window before Delilah got here. I just thought, well, it wasn't really long enough time, and then by the time Thanksgiving was over, it was too late. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta plunge the toilet. Shit. Grass eater. I don't want to hear that silly quote. I mean, the thing is this: like Rachel is super cool, regardless, and it's rare that I'm even drawn to notice or to think like, oh, maybe this behavior is because of periods, because she's really quite stable and steady across the board, which is amazing. Because it didn't always, that was not always a statement I could have honestly made. She used to have a certain uh, instability to her, but no longer. And it makes me sad to see her worried or sad because, I mean, the reason why she has nothing to worry about is because of a couple of factors. One, I'm looking to be in a relationship, and specifically the right relationship. Number two, I'm actually in the right relationship. Number three, I've never been in any relationship close to as good as this one before. And number four, even if I were in a bad relationship, I tend to cling on to it way longer than I should. And number five, even in bad relationships, I've never been a cheater. That's not exactly true. My very first relationship, I cheated on my girlfriend, and that was the last time I would ever do that again. And I learned from that experience that feelings matter. But I no longer, I still make a point of noting it because I'm still accountable for it, but I no longer feel like guilty about it or anything because it was 30 years ago. But yes, I did cheat 30 years ago. And that was bad of me. I would certainly never do it again. I've been cheated on more recently than that by my first wife, and I found it unbearable in some regard. Even though I didn't even like the woman, really. I was like, damn, woman, you crazy. Why did I cheat? Because I was 18 years old, maybe 19, I don't know, and I bipolar. I didn't understand what was important to me and what wasn't. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what it meant to hurt somebody until I had done it like that. Then I understood after that. Oh, why did I cheat? Opportunity presented itself. Yeah, more or less. And I just didn't have any frame of reference. I didn't have the right framework. Well, I wouldn't call it temptation plus opportunity. It was opportunity plus the wrong frame of reference. It's not that I was especially tempted. It was that I needed to make that mistake to learn from it. It's like being an ENTP. You just have to at some point come to terms with the fact that you have to make a lot of mistakes before you learn to not make mistakes. But if you're a decent ENTP, you hopefully don't have to make them more than once, especially significant ones. I certainly never make that mistake again. Never, ever, ever. And the reason, in part, is because I've spent so much time talking about how that's not me and I would never do that. It's deeply embedded in my self-concept, and if I were to cheat, I would lose credibility on so many levels beyond just sort of as a relationship partner. I'd lose all my credibility. I wouldn't be able to function as a person talking in the world any longer. I would be defined by my abject failure to live up to my very clearly articulated and often repeated standards. And I would have no for me it was the latter. It it was not that I subconsciously or consciously wanted out of that relationship. It was that I was incredibly immature and was like, oh, I'm trying things now. I'm trying things and I'm trying this now. And it was incredibly blind of me. It was an incredible example of FI polar at its absolute worst. To not get the concept that people hurt when you betray them until you betray them, and then you learn. It was a shocking, yeah. Testing out my free will, maybe, sure, yeah, I guess. You could also say I was trying to attain SE standards that were not good standards for me. But that was 30 years ago, and I learned a lot in the experience, and I never even came close to cheating ever since then. Well, it's a little bit of a lie. I wouldn't call it close, but there was a time after my first wife and I was split, and I started dating my eventual second wife, and I was hanging out with my first wife, and nothing happened or anything, but it got a little flirty. And I remember my first wife said to me, "You're easy like Sunday morning. I could have you in a second if I wanted to." And I was like, no. But I thought to myself at the same time, like, is that true? But I was really jumbled up emotionally. And I don't know if she was accurately describing the circumstance or if she was fucking with me or whatever. Why do people get into relationships? Well, when they're great, they're great. It's like I can't imagine not being with Rachel. It's not a rush thing. Rachel and I don't get any great rush from each other, I don't think. It's a natural ease of being. I am most easy in my being as part of a couple that is itself very easy and comfortable. It's there and gone. I mean, it shouldn't be, Adrian B. It shouldn't be there and gone. I've never treated any relationship like that. It's, Kimberly's the first person I ever broke up with. And I mean, she really cornered me into having no other choice, and I spent a long ass time fighting to get her to be a healthy relationship partner. In the end, I couldn't. And I mean, that's the thing. ISA J12. Neither Rachel or I expects very much from each other on any given daily basis. It's really easy when you're on the same page. And she and I are very much on the same page. What page is that? Well, it's self-indulgent, lazy page. It's do what you want to do when you want to do it and not have to do other things when you don't want to do them. And, it takes a couple of if you're going to be spoiled, you should get with somebody else who's spoiled. Rachel and I are both spoiled. And it works well. We're not spoiled with each other. In other words, we're not spoiled towards each other. We're spoiled about reality, which is different, right? Many people are damaged. And people get damaged when Grass Eater, I want you to understand that what you say there, I feel you completely. Okay? No, I am totally with you, dog. I get you. 100%. That's implicit in every decent guy ultimately has this unfortunate reality to deal with, which is if you're a decent guy, you probably haven't been out there slaying because you're a decent guy. And you, like most people, are prone towards getting attached to people that you get intimate with, and it's difficult to separate the two things. However, if you're a good person and you're female, you will successfully get slayed a lot more than a good guy is going to unsuccessfully fail to slay. So, as a consequence, there's no disputing that though Rachel is 14 years younger than I am, don't doubt, I haven't asked, don't plan to, but don't doubt that she's had more sexual partners than I have. And that's always going to be the truth with chicks. Because they are pursued and the dudes are the pursuers. And the Chad dudes are going to be successful at being Chads because that's what they do. It's in their wheelhouse. I'm not encouraging women to be promiscuous. I'm saying that as a consequence, when a nice guy ends up settling down with the right girl, it's going to be the case that that's going to be a problem. That especially if the guy is meanings-based, intuitive, or whatever, they're going to be stressing about the fact that they might not match up to previous lovers, that they've got this whole slew of past experiences that this girl has in her head that, that they know they're not going to be number one on top of the pile. And for guys, that's potentially very stressful, especially if they have insecurities about SE stuff in general because it's fourth or eighth or whatever. What I'm trying to say, Adrian B, look, I am just making clear what men feel, okay? I am not making an advocacy here, all right? No, it is. It is, Grass Eater. And it's okay. The thing is, it's just something that ultimately we overestimate to some extent, some of the time at least, the amount that previous people play in other people's heads. So I'm not thinking about previous girls when I'm with Rachel at all. I'm not comparing her against them. I'm not saying to myself, gosh, Judy was a better lover or something like that. The thought never even enters into my head. Oh, I see. Thank you for clarifying, Grass Eater. I appreciate that, actually. It clears things up a little bit. So it's like, at the end of the day, I feel very confident that that's the wrong approach to thinking about it. That Rachel, because Rachel loves me more than she's ever loved anybody, that she gives herself more wholly to me than she's ever given herself to anybody. I believe that to be the case. And as a consequence, that means to the extent that you want to use ridiculous things like best, that it's the best, you know? I feel confident. I feel incredibly well loved by Rachel. I feel like she adores me. And that that as a consequence, that I don't need to worry about that kind of shit. You know? That to the extent that if she if she were to think of anybody else, she would always think favorably of me in comparison, because she's convinced me, if nothing else, that she genuinely loves the shit out of me. And I've never felt that way before in relationships. I've always felt like my significant other is primarily there to correct me, tell me what's wrong with me, and try to change me and fix me and stuff, you know? So I get it. Instead of thinking about the women and their experience as indicative of a threat to you, it's also quite possible to think of yourself as the solution to that problem. It's not like there are chicks out there who I don't doubt want to go and play the field indefinitely. Well, it's insecurity, grass eater, because we're missing the point, not because the point can't be argued. The point can be argued, and I get your position on it. But the reason it's insecurity is because we're missing the point, in the sense that Rachel's been in long-term relationships before me, and they've all failed. And I've gotten to see in what Rachel plays prevent defense towards ways in which they failed in the past. It's easy to see. It's like when she first started coming here, when she first came here and started talking to me about like what she was wearing and shit, and what I wanted her to wear, it made it obvious that she'd been with somebody who cared a lot about having some say over what she wore. Like, I give a fuck, When she realized I genuinely don't give a fuck about that, then she suddenly felt liberated and like she didn't have to appease. And what she's found out across the board when she's with me is that she doesn't have to appease, and she doesn't have to compromise, and she doesn't have to change, and she doesn't have to be somebody other than who she is. And I found out the same thing. And that's weird, because it's never like that. How can I be sure it's deep? Oh, Rachel adores me. I mean, look, the other thing is, sorry, Abraham. Sorry. Let me address Abraham here. Abraham, it's hanging well. Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me to visit the lovely town of Montebello. And I'm really curious about the Venice room. It's a cool little looking place. I want to stop to take a picture of it with its neon sign and its mural there. Have you ever eaten there? You live kind of, Melinda lives kind of near you, but between the 10 and the 60. You're down there below the 60, right? Or were you still above the 60? It's right near your house, dude. It's like literally 2 blocks up the street. You must pass it every time you drive up that street there. Horsebumbler's somewhat correct here. And I know it too. And that's helpful for me to be confident in her. because she is NI. Which doesn't mean I think she would try to trade up, but I'm not NI. I'm SI, and so I'm not engaged in that. I'm not looking to trade in for a younger, hotter model or whatever at some point. That's not my interest. My interest is building a personal history with this person where my SI can stay where it's supposed to be. I found it very ontologically jarring my last breakup with Kimberly. Why? Because I had in my head all these thoughts about the future involving these people and plans and stuff, and then all of a sudden my whole vision of the future changes because I break up with her, and then now I no longer have Colin or Tara in my life or meow. Hypergamy means the man not trading up? Oh. Okay. Fine. Then I'm parsing hypergamy. It's a golf course. The Venice Room's not a golf course. It's a restaurant right there near your house. That I should be in a fiacre? Is it not droll? I learned a new word today, inveigle. Have you guys heard that word? Somebody emailed it to me. Most women now are hypergamous. Notice married women online a lot. Well, a man looking for higher status woman is called hyperandry. Hyperbandry, probably is how it's pronounced. Okay, well, that's interesting. I feel great. I mean, I feel like I scored. I found my girl. I don't have to think about that anymore. She's perfect. Right? I mean, and the other thing is, when I talk about having a story, it's like with Rachel, I have this amazing story of being able to come into a situation where she was being, subject to being ignored by people. Why did you write that? I don't think we're going to be able to avoid having a new day tomorrow, whether we try or not, David Sanderson. But the thing is, look, Rachel was in a rough situation for a solid decade before I came into the mix. And all right, I'll get back to your grass eater. I don't know what I was going to say, but hold on. And I was able to genuinely do what every ENTP wants to do more than anything else. ENTPs love to walk into a place where everything's all settled and done the way it's done and go, what the hell is this? Meow, 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 and watch everybody go, blah. It's like the favorite thing in the world for an ENTP to do, right? Rachel, it was very much like, from my perspective, a great horse that you would go to the horse buying thing for, but it's got a weird spot on it, namely she had a mental illness. But other than that, she was perfect, right? So I just had to solve that one problem. Well, it turned out, believe it or fucking not, that I could. And that I did. And that Rachel and I have solved her decade-long struggle with mental illness, that she's won the argument definitively on the link between marijuana smoking and mental illness, that I get to call the her medical thing and be like, the fuck you will. It's like, I love that shit. And that's a core part of our personal history and everything, is very precious to me. The fact that with her family, I'm so well positioned in this regard. So when I go and hang out with Rachel's family, whether it's on the Zoom thing or eventually in person or whatever, and I just sit there like this, like, try it. Anybody go ahead, try it, motherfuckers. They all know I can slam the fuck out of them at any moment, I love that shit. I can't get, that's not easy. First of all, I've tried to save chicks before. It never works. It totally worked this time. You think that's not, I mean, how valuable is that? As a general rule, I would highly recommend, do not try to save chicks. Okay, you're in for a disastrous amount of endless savings. Rachel is the exception that proves the rule. Okay, she is not. I would not try to follow this example, but somehow I pulled this off. Because remember, what was I looking for in a girlfriend when I got Rachel? Looking for somebody who was ready to basically like move in with me and be my living girlfriend full time. I mean, she had to have basically nothing going on in her own life. Okay. Somebody who I liked a lot and ideally was attractive and, younger than me, but not too much younger than me, and all these other factors, right? And how are you going to get somebody like that if they don't come with some problem that you got to solve? Because that's not normally what it's like it's not that ISAJ12. I don't even know what the question is. I'm just, my NE is over here now, so I'll have to go back and see what the question was. What was the question? I was about to respect you. Well, I mean, I do want to stress again that I understand how painful that fundamental reality is. Okay, that there is a reality, and and that it's not, it's a legitimate, it's like a legitimate complaint. It's a real concern, and that it's something that I think and hope and believe that women understand that they're burdening their man with, unavoidably, unless they happen to be some weird religious person who's, 24-year-old virgin or something. But they're very unusual among women, not so unusual among men. That's just how life is, But remember that it's not like all those experiences that they have are positive. A lot of them aren't positive, and some of them are quite negative. And being able to have a genuinely intimate relationship with somebody means not reducing them to their past. It's a lot easier with an NI-DOM to understand that she's very detached from her past than it was with an SI-DOM, who genuinely had a lot more of that kind of referencing her past in her head, From a study, 1/3 of young men haven't had intercourse in the last year. That makes perfectly good sense. I'm surprised it's not even higher than that. What was your last question? Can you repeat it? Yeah, it's got to be frustrating, David Sanderson. Yeah, I would guess it's probably closer to half. And for those, among the half who have, if they're single, I wouldn't surprise me if it's once. And then there's probably 10% who are fairly chadly about the whole thing. You're not very affectionate, overly affectionate. Folks creep me out. What type are you, Adrian B? Are you an INFJ? You just really need to be like dazzled by the person you're with. If you really feel like, wow, I really love the shit out of this person, then you'll be affectionate. But it takes somebody to earn it, right? The reason Rachel loves me so much is because I earn it by being the best boyfriend I can possibly be, And I'm not always perfect, but because I'm FI polar, perhaps, as far as I'm concerned, the reason Rachel loves me so much is because I earn it. It's not because of any inherent value in me. It's because I'm a very good boyfriend. And I deserve to be loved as a consequence. And this is what frustrated me with previous relationships. I was always being a good boyfriend, but how does that make sense, Raphael? That would imply that I don't know. Maybe it does make some sense. Raphael, you're going to have to explain that to me. Raphael says you have twice as many female ancestors as male ones. Does that make sense? Can anybody explain to me why that makes sense if it does? I mean, I get that, okay, one male can produce 2 children, right? But each of those children still has one female and one male parent. So the child produced by the female in addition to the boy, because male lineages die out. Is that true? I mean, it seems as true for last names. Like my last name might die out, but that doesn't make Delilah, like that doesn't mean that Delilah's child, who doesn't have my last name, is no longer my grandchild, right? Oh, that question. I thought I kind of answered it. Well, you can't be sure it's deep. To me, it's a weird question because I don't rely on anybody else's emotions to think that I can rely on them, In other words, I don't believe I can rely on Rachel because she loves me so much. I believe I can rely on Rachel because we're on the same page. We've said all the right words to each other. And also because I haven't fucked up. So I assume everybody's basically fair. I offer under that assumption that if I'm a good boyfriend and I don't fuck up, then they're not going to leave me or cheat on me. Of course, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, but how does that change the number of ancestors I have? In other words, does my grandfather's brother count as my ancestor? Or my grandmother's sister count as my ancestor? Because I exist means I was not one of the people whose lines was eliminated, right? Okay, so if in fact, like my grandfather's sister counts as an ancestor, then I would agree that I would have more female ancestors than male ancestors, probably. But it's not necessarily the case that all females reproduce. So it may be a higher percentage of females reproduce than percentage of males reproduce, but it's also the case that one male can reproduce with multiple females. So wouldn't that mean you'd have, if your dad was if your great grandfather was a slayer, wouldn't that mean that there'd be lots of other male and female relatives that you wouldn't know about even? A high percentage of females reproduce, but males reproduce with a higher number of people historically, probably. No, successful males do, you know? Okay. So I guess what you're saying is that because one male can be responsible for more than one kind of baby, then okay. Well, I don't understand what's the point of that. What is the point of this stat anyway? When do I usually go to bed? When I get tired. Okay. So the answer to that question, Grass Eater, is first of all, none of us get to operate with perfect information in life or with certainty about the future. So we got to see that upset Rachel tonight because she feels as though, to a certain extent, she can't know for sure that she can trust me. And it's in part because maybe very early on in the relationship, I talked to her about marriage and then I stopped talking about it. And then, like I said, I figured out, I intuited at some point this week, oh, that's why my dad is saying it. Because my dad had said at some point, I like Rachel. I have nothing wrong with Rachel, but I don't want you to get married. And I was like, okay. I wasn't sure why. I figured it out why. Anyway, so I mentioned that to Rachel. The other thing to remember is this. Being successful with women, it has way more to do with your attitude, your approach, your personality, and your ability to engage with people than anything else. President-elect is a term we use to refer to the president in waiting. What would change you already live together and have sex? Nothing would change. Yeah, I mean, like, it's like there's very little that goes through my head that doesn't come out of my mouth. I would like to play a game of chess, but I would I'm not ready to end the live stream, and I don't like to live stream and play chess at the same time because it's boring for people. So why would I marry? Well, presumably because Rachel would like that. And it would give her a chance to have a wedding dress and get married and stuff. And her parents would like that and stuff. Um, I mean, I'm not going to. Well, I mean, that was the discussion tonight was basically this, that I'm not going to marry Rachel until after my dad dies because he's concerned about various legal things and blah, blah, blah. And that was that Rachel felt as though something had changed. In my mind, nothing had changed. We had sort of agreed we weren't going to get married anyway anytime soon because there was no advantages. Yeah. Um, okay, horse mumbler. Jesus Christ. I didn't call him the president-elect. I merely said president-elect is the term we use to refer to the president in waiting. I didn't make any claims beyond that. Boy, you got to be careful around this horse mumbler guy. He's got his TI beating stick out tonight. And he's ready to bash your brains in with it. INTPs, I know. Oof. That's true, horse mumbler. You got me again. You are on a roll tonight. And guys, first of all, I will say the same thing to Gracier and Raphael that I've said many times before. Nobody dates women, okay? You date a woman. Nobody gets in a relationship with women. You get in a relationship with a woman. So when we spend too much of our energy talking about how women are, we remove ourselves from the capacity to actually engage with a human being who is a woman. And we impose a bunch of bullshit identity onto her based purely on the fact that she's got a vagina and boobs. So that's problem number one. You know, women don't want to be dealt with as women. They want to be dealt with as a woman. They want, just like Raphael wants to be dealt with as Raphael and not as a man or a guy with a Spanish last name or a German or whatever else, you know. I know everybody does it, but the thing is, it's much more of a problem the way the men do it than the way women do it. Women, you know, are like, man, they, you know, you can't get them to commit to you, or whatever other shit they say. But men go, well, women want men other than me, and that makes me mad. Women don't want men other than you. You aren't the you that they want yet. You know? That's what it boils down to. Yeah. Like women have these meetings where they talk about all this shit. They kind of do more than men do, but you know. The thing is, what I said is absolutely true. Women, it's not that women don't want you, it's that you aren't the you yet that women want. And fixating on this shit that you're fixating on is not a way to change that reality. Be prepared to, you know, sort of like excise from your own identity your reproductive viability. And Grass Eater, I'm not Grass Eater. Relax, okay? I'm not going to put myself at any unnecessary risks, okay? Just relax. So, no, blank was said. Blank was said. Yeah, it's like if you go up to talk to somebody and you're thinking, well, here's a chick, I'm gonna go hit on her. You're doing it entirely wrong. It's like talk to a human being and find out if you like them. Find out if you actually think that they are unusually attractive. If you're actually feeling sort of both um, interest, affection, and a certain amount of lust for the person, well, then you decide you're going to start hitting on them. It's like because this is somebody I like. No, it's something I had to learn in words from Taylor. That's how dumb I am about this shit. Okay. In other words, go talk to a person with no expectations except you're talking to a person first. And then if you happen to discover that they're an attractive girl that you actually like their personality, like the way they engage with you, seem to have a connection, and you kind of find them sexy, then decide to hit on them. Your goal is not to resolve the question of being not in a relationship, which is what everybody thinks it is when they aren't in one. The issue is to try to avoid getting into the wrong relationship. And if you're going to have casual sexual intercourse to sort of bridge the gap, expect it to be unsatisfying. Who's stalling? Am I stalling? What am I stalling about? Are you talking about Trump? Trump stalling? Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. You're not like the other girls is something girls like to hear. If you tell them in exactly that term, in those words, though, they probably will just think, oh, okay, you've had lots of other girls. So you probably don't want to say those words. You probably want to say, I'm not really good with girls or anything, but I don't know, I feel a special some kind of connection with you or something. Hey. And she'd be like, oh, really? Like, yeah, I do. Let's go walk on the beach together. She'd be like, walking on the beach. I love walking on the beach. And you go, yeah, me too. And then you walk down the beach next to each other. And then you go, hey, look at that shell over there. Isn't that funny? And she'll go, yeah, you're so funny. And she'll touch your shoulder like this. And you go, yeah, I'm in. And then you immediately turn and squeeze her boobs. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And while you're squeezing, you say, honk, 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 honk. No, don't do that last part. Okay? Don't immediately turn and squeeze her boobs. Then you got to be smooth at that point. After they say you're so funny, okay? After they say you're so funny, then you just want to put your arm around them and say, thanks. You feel good pressed up against me. Maybe that's a little too gaff. Maybe just don't say anything. Maybe just stand there and squeeze her a little bit. Just like, not like grab her ass, but, just put your arm around her shoulder or something. And say, I really like you. That's a good approach right there. What do you think, ISAJ12? You seem like a tough cookie to crack. Would that crack your nut? That would crack your nut, huh? I really like you. Do you want to hear the sound of me urinating? That always gets them too. It's a good way to get a girl to like you. Hey, sweetie. Hey, cutie. What's your name? Julie? Listen to this. Hold your phone to the ear. And then you pee in a bucket. They love that. That's how you get a girl to could really go crazy for you. That's the sound of me finishing urinating. My turn-ons include long walks on the beach and peeing into the microphone. Do not ask for Instagram profile like it's a covert way of saying, hey, I want to see you in skimpy clothing, and they will reject you. Well, look, it is the case that, I mean, look, I went through a period of about 4 years in my early 20s of what you would call nowadays maybe involuntary celibacy. Now, the reality was it was entirely my own neuroticism, and it had nothing to do with my viability as a reproductive partner. I generalized from my high school experience that I was not reproductively viable, that it was considered like socially unacceptable for me to consider myself such. I wasn't dateable, you know? That's what I concluded fairly. Intuitives intuit a lot of information from a little bit of data. Okay. So you get a little bit of whatever. Legends full. Look, you don't take the person who's learning how to ski and you tell them, bro, you just go over the jump here, do a flip and land. Okay, you don't take the person who's learning how to ski and direct them to do that. Okay, Legends Fall, you are pushing way too far ahead. It's like, that's how I've already explained this process, okay, Legends Fall. The safe way to do it is this way, okay? You have your 3 video conversations, okay? Video conversation 1, you just switch that's in the waters. If you decide you don't really like her, she's not that cute or whatever, don't have video conversation 2. Don't even bother. If you do think she's cute and you like her and everything, have video conversation 2. Make sure by the middle, at least of the second video conversation, you got some flirty talk going on. Some, hey, that shirt looks really good on you. Yeah, whatever, some bullshit like that. And then at the end, near the end of the third conversation, have reasonably long conversations. Don't rush this process. At the end of the third conversation, you need to, at that point, say, yeah, Zoom dating. You need to say, hey, kids, look, this is how it works, okay? Say, hey, I'd really like to see your boobs, or just show me your boobs, or hey, can I see your boobs, or something like that. And then at that point, you've got it down perfectly, because at that point she has a choice to make. You've already completed 3 full conversations with her. She can't accuse you of rushing shit, and now you have her positioned where she's either going to say, I don't want to be that way with you, in which case, great, fine, move on to a different chick. You don't want to waste your time. Or, yeah, I do want to be that way with you, and in which case she'll show you her boobs. And ESTP wants to set that tone right away. They're going to say, show me I want to see your boobs right away, knowing they're not going to get to see them right away, but that's going to push the schedule ahead and eliminate any overly uncertain girls or whatever right away. So that they'll play it off sort of as a half joke or whatever, but they'll bring it up way too early. But then from some people's perspectives, but it'll work anyway because ESTPs they just exude sexuality. They tend to be very sexual people, and they tend to flirt a lot, and they tend to, it's like this if you're in a group of people and there's single girls there, and or even girls in a relationship, and a group of guys, and then one of the guys is an ESTP, it's pretty much guaranteed that the ESTP is the only one there who's making it clear to all of the women that he sees them as women, first and foremost. And they can get away with it because, there's something very Chadley about that. However, it also means that their relationships are probably a little bit more tempestuous, that they have a little bit more trouble getting into and staying into good relationships, that they've probably already fucked your girlfriend. It's one of those things that you just got to live with. Because at the end of the day, when you really think about it, I think you end up concluding as you get older that Legends Falls perspective that it's all upside ends up being a little tragic. No offense, Legends Falls. Well, Grass Eater, that's true. And the thing is, here's the deal. For Grass Eater and for me as well, that is a incredibly frustrating, painful reality. Incredibly frustrating and painful reality. But the thing is, I have been with a fair number of girls, not compared to probably most people, but my age, but still more than a handful, I guess, over the course of my life. And like everybody else, or almost everybody else, I found those experiences ran the gamut from awkward and horrible to, hey, that was fun. And maybe it's because I'm not a very physical person, but that's about all there is to say about it. Most of them were on the side of, ugh, that was awful. For me, having a very satisfying sexual relationship with a woman happens after time and trust. And there may be women who feel the same way, or there may be women who don't feel the same way. But I will tell you this much, Grass Eater. If you are with a woman who, like me, finds that sexual relations become better the longer you're with somebody and the more you trust them, then they too are not going to find their previous experiences preferable in any way. From the sort of sensitive male perspective, we imagine some ESTP Chad banging the shit out of our girl and her loving every second of it, and that we represent her need to sacrifice in terms of sexual satisfaction in order to to attain the stability that a regular guy like us offers, and that in fact, in some sense, they've given up the best they have already by the time they get to us. Remember, these things are metaphors, and they're self-harming metaphors, and that girls are human too, and that they have the same range of probably mostly awful to experiences by and large. Now, it may be the case that in fact our worst imagination is true, and that she's got this person from her past who just knocked her socks off every time he touched her, and that you're never going to measure up. The thing is, that's your worst case scenario, right? That's the most painful thing in the world to consider in a relationship. Well, grass eater's not doing anything wrong. Grass eater is the one who's prompting this topic. What are you talking about? So the thing is, I actually had that experience with Kimberly. I had the worst possible thing you could have. I had oh, my bad, Freddie Forgiato. I don't want to get involved. Just let me tell my story, okay? It's a pretty crazy story. So I was with Kimberly, and we were not meshing sexually very well. It was like we just were not compatible in a lot of ways, but certainly not sexually. And she was very not trusting, and I was very trust reliant in terms of intimacy. And so things really didn't go well between us. One day we're sitting outside, and she tells me this story about how, this guy that I dated for a while, the only reason that we really dated at all was because the sex was so phenomenal. And then she like drove it home, like, wow, blew my mind. And I was just like, oh God, why would you say that? And it was a big deal between us. It was like, I have to know this. Okay, well, what was he doing that was so amazing, And to make matters worse, this guy continually tried to contact her while she was with me. She, being an honest person, she'd say, okay, hey, this guy contacted me again. I'd look at it, and I'd have the opportunity to deal with it as I wanted to. But it was a source of incredibly painful, an incredibly painful couple of years for me. But note that I have no such problems now at all. I don't feel even the slightest bit inadequate or inferior to anybody who's been in Rachel's past. Now, why is that? Is it because Kimberly and I were sexually incompatible, so I had good reason to be insecure during that relationship, whereas Rachel and I are very compatible, so I don't have good reason? Is it because Kimberly was SI-Dom, so she very much lives in her past, whereas Rachel is NI-Dom because she doesn't really live in her past so much? Is it because, well, the real reason is, yeah, you have my permission, of course. The real reason is because Rachel and I have a unique relationship, as is the case between any two people. So Joe and Judy's sexual relationship is Joe and Judy's sexual relationship. It is distinct from and fundamentally incomparable to any other sexual relationship, including Joe and Julie's sexual relationship. There's no comparisons to be made. The sex is a team sport. and it is a two-person dance. And if you're worried about not being a good enough dance partner, then you'll discover, if you're with the right person, that it's not something you need to worry about. And you'll discover that if you're with the wrong person, that it very well might be. And to think that the problem is that your partner's had too many previous partners or something is fundamentally wrong. I have no reason to think that Rachel's had especially fewer partners than Kimberly had, although Kimberly was older. But Kimberly was married for a fair long time, so I guess not that long. Anyway, I have no reason to believe that they have, like, on balance, any more reason to think that Rachel has less of a wow person in her past than Kimberly did in her past, sort of on a factual level or whatever. But I have not a shred of concern at all with Rachel about anything, frankly. I feel incredibly, I mean, that's the thing about real, genuine intimacy, is no woman can genuinely give herself, not just her body, but her being to you, without trust. And the trust that happens over time can't be replaced by some sort of instant whatever. So that's what I have to say about it. Is I understand, Grass Eater, that a lot of people, especially if they haven't found a good intimate relationship yet, don't have faith in intimacy. But when intimacy goes well and two people are genuinely caring about each other as individuals, not as role fillers, then these things become irrelevant. They really do. I mean, that's such a... Oscar Wilde was I think it's fair to say, homosexual. And I would consider what this quote here to be a very homosexual perspective. Because I think if I were homosexual, I would view sex the same way. I wouldn't view it as related to relationships at all. But maybe I'm misperceiving homosexuality. You're correct, Eric, but not just trust. It is her viewing as you being the head. I mean, okay, so why do we need to have this weird hierarchy thing in order for the relationship to be healthy? I do not necessarily think is the case that an important factor in why my relationship is healthy is because, like, I'm the head of the household and she's secondary in command level or something like that. I mean, I don't exactly dispute that it's sort of factually so, but that's certainly not the kind of relationship we have. I mean, I'm not going around correcting her and scolding her and being all like, now, honey. Quite to the contrary. You know, I see what happens. I see Rachel bring the bong, want to bring the bong in the car. I see her Effie processing and looking at me to see if I'm going to object. And I realize, oh, right. She's used to, and it's hard for her to get over this, she's used to being called out for shit when she can be called out for shit. Whereas I'm used to also being called out for shit when I can't be called out for shit. But I'm used to also highly prioritizing not being like that. I am not looking for a reason to bust anyone's chops. No, I understand what hypergamy is, okay? I understand that. But that actually doesn't follow logically. What you're saying that women want somebody who's going to be the clear head of household and be clear in the dominance hierarchy. That may be the case, but it doesn't logically follow from hypergamy, the notion that women want to level up, so to speak. In fact, it would seem contraindicative of it, not as though it logically follows from it. Okay, so why is it that you equate trust with being above? I trust her because I feel like she's below me? Is that what you're saying? I mean, I trust her because she's very honest. And my experience has taught me that I can trust her. I trust her because she's clearly not able to be moved by any kind of TE factor at all. So, in other words, it doesn't matter how much it's not in her interests. If she feels like she's not being treated right, she will slam the door and leave. The thing is, I don't worry about not treating her right, though. Now, the more I get to know her, the more I trust her, because the more I understand her to be somebody who's looking to be able to trust somebody and who's not been able to trust people before. That she values me because she can trust me. Well, don't men want a more attractive woman than them? Isn't that the same kind of thing, basically? Like, it's true that I wanted and got a woman that's more attractive than me. Does that make me hypergamous or the other one hyperandry? Hyperbandry? Does that make me hyperbandrous? What is that? So what do you call that? What do you call that? So I had to break up with my last girlfriend. I said, okay, maybe this time I'm gonna try to get a hot young chick, but not too young, because then I'm not gonna be able to defend it on FE grounds. So she's got to be like over 30 for sure. I can't get a 20 something. So what is that? What's that called? I'm not going to get through to NI people using your particular SI framing of this. Okay, well. My SI framing is correct, though. Making love to a human being is a unique two-person dance. It's unique between those two people. And you can't really compare instances, and it's ridiculous to think that some STP Chad in the past is her secret longing desire while she's with you. Like you, she's probably not thinking about those people from the past. It's also conceivable that if you got yourself an SI Dom, that maybe they are. But guys, no, I understand the sexual economy, Reflector. I also understand that we choose our metaframe. And so there is this reality to the sexual economy that it's very easy for women to have sex if they're willing to take whatever. And men, if they get anxious enough about it, will tend to take whatever. But it's not, but you need to remember something as well, reflector. I'm a man. I won't fuck anything. In fact, by and large, I won't fuck anything. So you're wrong. Your generalization is silly. No, so why are you trying to blame them? Why are you trying to find somebody to blame for the reality of human mating relations, huh? Why do you want to blame women? It's like, curse you, women, for curse you. Can't you see that I haven't come to appreciate my own inherent worth and therefore can't convey that to you? That must be your fault. It's that simple, really. It really is that simple. When you fully appreciate your own worth and value, you cease to complain about this shit entirely because you have no problem conveying it to others. And you know, chicks want to hit that shit. And the fact is, it doesn't matter how like successful you are at understanding your own worth and conveying it to others, you still are in the same position as everybody else. You get to have one girlfriend. So I have no doubt at this point, shocking though it is to me, okay? Believe me, it's shocking given my own personal history of reproductive non-viability. I have no doubt at all that if I were single, I could bone lots of chicks if I wanted to. No doubt about it. Without very much difficulty. And why? I'm not a handsome guy. I'm not, like, look at me. I'm no, who's a handsome young person? Who's a handsome young person nowadays that's considered like a hot leading man? Sean Connery. ISH 12. You are trying to fool me with that one. You know, who's a hot young muscly hunk guy nowadays? And that's not even true, Hambone. Look, it's not even about selling yourself, really. In some sense, it's about not selling yourself. It's about, like, you know, you're shopping too, right? They're not the only shoppers. Selling yourself is selling yourself short, you know? Fuck that noise, I'm shopping. You sell, you know? I mean, the thing is this: if you're really worth what you're worth, if you understand what you're worth and you're really worth it, then you don't have to sell. You can, if you're that house on the market that everyone wants to buy, then you don't have to go advertise my house is for sale very much, right? And look at it, it's good. Then you just have to say, okay, yeah, it's available. And then people come and go bid on it. Well, the thing is, if you are comfortable with yourself, confident but not arrogant, then you recognize that you have both good value in general and think of yourself that way. And then, but you also remember that you're looking for the right person. You're not looking to capitalize on capital that has no use except to find the right person ultimately. And if you try to use it for some other purpose, you're not going to enjoy yourself. You're not going to be happy because you're not cut out for that shit. ESCPs maybe, but there's a cost. They give up a real deep relationship. And, like in the sense that until they settle down, they probably create a fair amount of wreckage, if they're out there slaying, I think they probably create less wreckage than anybody else doing that would, but still. What whole situation is silly? No, I understand that there are not just male slayers, but there are female slayees who are not interested in relationships. And I am not disrespecting those kind of engagements. I'm saying that, yes, it can be ethical, Freddie Forgiato, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is. I mean, there's got to be some sort of inherent exchange or inverse proportionality between quantity and quality. If the quality of a relationship is built up over time, then it requires both time investment and the capacity to make the woman genuinely trust you. The reason Rachel should, and I hope does, genuinely trust me, and ultimately her concerns and worries are going to go away, is because I'm valuing the fact that I've got my character up to level 10 now, and it's going great, right? This character's kicking ass. The last thing in the world I want to do is start a new character, right? That's how I view relationships. It's like, when I have to start a new character, it's because, okay, somewhere along the line here, I fucked this character up so badly that I have to start over now. Or she fucked it up, one of the two. Well, Rachel and I are killing it. It's like this character's coming together perfect. Like we both learned everything we had to learn from our previous fuck up characters, and this one's coming together perfect. The idea that I would abandon it to start over is crazy because of my SI frame of reference. I view the relationship like that, not like that I'm a character who's very successful because I can open this chest and that chest and this chest and get all the gold out of them. I don't view shit like that. I never have. You min-maxed this build to hell. I don't know what that means. Sounds like a bunch of Jordan Peterson pseudoscientific horseshit to me. Frankly, ignores all the knowledge we've discovered about cognitive functions. Well said, Oliver Lyon. I don't even know what you're referring to. But if it's Jordan Peterson explaining why women fit in this box, then I'm going to go ahead and agree with Oliver Lyon. I don't like shit that tries to reduce individuals to members of their group. It's more legitimate in general when you're making talk about women and men than it is for almost any other group. But it very quickly goes from interesting, like pleasant conversation to why aren't I getting laid? Which is what's behind, Grass Eater and everybody else who complains about things. It's like, I want to be in a good relationship. I want to be in a good relationship and I'm not. I want to be in a good relationship, but I can't trust myself to start even going out with a girl because she might end up, not wanting the same thing. And she might end up fucking somebody else, might end up fucking my friend or whatever. Maybe I've been screwed over before or whatever. A min-max in a video game is a character that's maxed in one stat, but has none in another. Oh, that's such a good term. It's an interesting term. ISHA 12 is correct. And the thing is, look, forget about exactly the shit you need to do if you ever want to find someone good. Put it this way. Let's say you found a saint of a woman who wanted to wean you away from that nonsense by getting you to genuinely trust her, by being trustworthy. And ultimately, you ended up in a good, healthy, intimate relationship. You would reject all the shit you're saying now. But the thing is, try to avoid all the work for the girl. You know, when you go into a potential relationship with a big chip on your shoulder, even if you happen to get with a saint who's willing to, for whatever reason, help you overcome that, or who has her own like cavity where your chip is so that they fit together in some unhealthy way, it's not going to turn out good. It's like, it's better, it's genuinely better to, humbly embrace a sad reality. Like I guess I'm just incredibly insecure about this. Is an amazingly liberating thing to say. ISHA 12, that kind of shit doesn't help, okay? I'm removing your comment. And I'm removing an ISHA 12, even though I strongly value NI as a inherent absolute value. Yeah, that's not cool. I don't like anything that makes this whole mess of a dating economy worse. And as I'm working on attempting to talk to males who have a lot of, maybe even well justified from their perspective at least, resentment, I try to talk to them about how to remember that women are human beings, individual human beings. Remember that men are sensitive. Men are very easily wounded. And I'm sure that there are plenty of girls out there who've been wounded plenty of times who themselves say, well, fuck them, because, I know that there are men out there who judge how their women look, for example, my dad is so ridiculous. After Rachel had gone on Seroquel for a while and started putting on a little weight, my dad came up to me and was like, Rachel looks like she's put on some weight. I'm like, oh, Jesus, Dad. I don't care. First of all. Second of all, why do you? So I get that men can be awful to women and say awful things to them. And that men and women can very easily attack each other's insecurities. And I would argue that we should try to be kind to each other. My FI is like a toddler, I know that my feelings are very squishy. I'm unhurtable, more or less, feelings-wise, by just about anybody except my significant other. And I certainly feel as though I empathize well with the challenge of males in this society who don't carry around with them the native correlates of achievement that would bolster naturally their own self-confidence, and that once you are caught up in a mix of half self-loathing, half blaming, and reinforcing the notion that you have no reproductive viability as a male, that it's difficult to transition to interacting with women in a healthy way. Where the fuck is my lighter? So women can be awful to men. Men can be awful to women. This is what happens when the dating market is unregulated. That's why we're implementing my new policy that's centered entirely around dry humping and the need to eliminate dry humping from human society entirely. See, the dry humping is a gateway drug. Dry humping leads to marijuana, which leads to sexual intercourse. So by eliminating dry humping from this equation, we'll both end pot smoking and sexual intercourse. Somebody's been thinking. Don't dry hump the wrong person, Adrian B. Listen, here's the deal. Here is the deal, ultimately. Remember this, reflector, and remember this, grass eater. You may feel like you are a townsperson B, but there's actually something quite cool about being a townsperson B. But you got to own it, all right? You got to be the best damn townsperson B you can be. And you can know this is true. It's Legends Fall. He said to call him reflector. And remember that townsperson B is always a temporary state of being. Everybody's a townsperson B in this area or that area or the other area. Now I'm overwhelmed with too many things from the chat and I've lost all train of thought. Well, failure is dipping me in its bucket of syrup. You know, how could I ever even dream of breaking up with Rachel? You know that when we went last night to get French toast sticks, we came back here, she got French toast sticks, you know. I got something, I don't remember what I got, some breakfast sandwich, I think. And first thing she did, she got home, she spilled syrup all fucking over herself. It's like immediately. And that's just like constant Rachel. And frankly, I find it unspeakably adoring. We're supposed to be a camel emoji to indicate dry hump. Oh. Camel represents camel toe. All right. And camel toe is the female version of a waddle coot. Waddle coot is when men have on tight shorts, or I guess, you know, in the worst case of waddle coot is a Speedo. Now, a wriggling waddle coot is when a guy's wearing shorts but without any underwear, and you can see his scrotum when he sits down with his legs spread. And so the proper expression is this: bro, don't wiggle your waddle coot, please. or bro, you got a wiggler, or a wriggler. It depends which part of the country you're from. So, camel toes and waddle coots. I am the inventor of the term waddle coot, and the term is made out of the last names of a former lover of mine, whose last name was actually, believe it or not, Cooter. I shit you not. Yep. I hit that Cooter. I did. And, okay, Kimberly had a previous relationship partner whose last name was Waddle. 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 So, a waddle cooter, it's like they just go together, right? So that's where the word waddle coot came from. Waddle coot is a word that means, like, it's a male equivalent of camel toe. And that's why, F, F, S. Do you know what that means? F, F, S. You know what's a good way to drive all the chicks away? Invite to a party. Then you have a nice sausage party on your hands. Oh, good. Steve's here. He'll tell all the women how much they suck. That'll go over well. Come on, dude. I'm trying to have a nice time hanging out with a variety of people, both women and men. And here you are shitting on half of them for no reason. Okay? Yeah, don't be a puss repellent. No, Adrian B. That's not how you say it. You have to say, dude, your waddle coot's wriggling. You got a wriggler. Is perfectly acceptable way to say it as well. You're sporting a wriggler, bro. You're sporting a wriggler. My dad is rather careless with his short pants, I'll say. He's the kind of guy who throws an occasional wriggle and waddle coot at you when you least expect it. Of course, when you're 85 years old, I guess you can pretty much get away with anything. He likes his short pants. He likes his flip-flops. His fanny pack. His wriggle and waddle coot. He's good to go. Well, Hambone's got a point there. And that's sort of what I was saying as well. You are, she's not the only one shopping. I don't need to sell myself to her necessarily. It depends how much dating capital you have to a certain extent. But it's also the case that women don't know how much dating capital you have in general, and they make that determination. They make an immediate determination, and then they sort of verify it over time. Operate as if you were in a surplus because you are. I'm just saying, the truth is, you probably don't want to just bang some random chick, even though you think you do. The truth is, you would probably like to be in a good relationship with the right person, the right woman, and not with somebody else. And the truth is, if you were to stop worrying about it, you determine that these sort of man-curities that all males, I suspect, except maybe super chads, have, are almost entirely of our own making. That, in fact, that if we remember that we're looking for exactly the right chick, and that if we're doing it right, most of the time, almost everybody we're talking to isn't good enough for us, then all of a sudden, it's like not Karl Marx. One of those Marx brothers said, I don't want to be a member of any club that'll have me. As soon as you start being a choosy club, people want to join you. Well, Grass Eater, you're very much attached to your narrative here on this stuff. And you've linked it to a religious narrative as well. Which came first? Which is the chicken? Which is the egg? Is an interesting question. I have my own theories about that, but I'll leave them unstated. And nothing good comes of blaming chicks for whatever. It's just that simple, frankly. You can take the whole law. This is like Eric's Law. Nothing good comes from blaming chicks for whatever, period. That's Eric's Law, okay? Nothing good ever comes from blaming chicks for whatever. You just end up with a sausage party. Doesn't a sexual relationship with someone who's already been canonized technically constitute necrophilia? Not all saints are dead, Horse Mumbler, actually. They've created a new class of saints in Catholicism called living saints. It's 1:30 a.m., Eric. What are you, my mom? All chicks want top guys, even if they're not attractive, not even just based off looks. So, do you think that I'm susceptible to having Rachel stolen away from me if a celebrity, let's say Brad Pitt, were to come and make a concerted effort at picking up on Rachel and trying to sleep with her? Do you think she'd succumb to the efforts and either cheat on me or leave me? I don't think so. I know I wouldn't. It's not possible to seduce me away from my commitment to my relationship, nor seduce me away from Rachel, Oh, CJ O'Connell. Looks like you picked the wrong time zone. Sorry. It's your own fault. What could have been a neutral observation? That my penis is beautiful? That's an objectively neutral and true observation. I do have an incredibly beautiful penis. That's why in those classes where people sit naked in a chair and people paint them, they all want me to be there to pose for them. And when I go up there and I sit on the chair, they'll go, oh my gosh, that is such a beautiful penis. Thank you. That's because I went to the beauty salon right before here and had it polished. Yes, Eric, if Rachel found a dude better than you, she would have a feelings to leave you. Now, she may or may not do tomorrow or something. A feelings to leave me? Okay, so how should Rachel feel if I'm driving down the street and there's some chick in a short skirt with big boobs and I go like this? Let's say she's not in the car. And I wouldn't do it if she were in the car. Well, let's say I would do it if she weren't in the car. Does that count as a feelings to leave me? To leave Rachel? No. Does it count as a desire to have sex with somebody else? No. It just counts as, look at that. You can't help it. As a male, there's a certain amount of, look at that. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't be trusted. It doesn't mean that you have a feeling to have sex with somebody else. It doesn't mean you have a feeling to leave or anything like that. So why is that the case? OOO makes the bold claim that men can lust after other women, but still just love one woman. Women cannot do this. They cannot lust after other men, but still just love one man. So what does that mean? So that means I can want to have sex with lots of different women, but still be monogamous to my woman. But as soon as she wants to have sex with another man, then she's going to leave me? I mean, why? What's your justification for that? There's no reason for believing that. It's unsubstantiated. Men have a higher propensity to still love their women even if they're sexually attracted to another chick. I mean, you could frame that the other way around. You could frame it as men are more likely to lust after people not their relationship partner. And it doesn't sound so good, huh? No, if either person cheats, the relationship is over. No relationship can survive health. No healthy relationship will have any cheating in it. And cheating is just the indication that an unhealthy relationship has become completely unsustainable and has to end. Okay, but why are women always so subject to their biology, whereas men, on the other hand, are individual human beings who have a sexual component? Women are perceived as reducible to their biology. And why is this? Do you think there's any justification for it? Men's sexual strategy to bang and impregnate as many chicks as possible. Really? God. I mean, that really makes me want to end this stream and watch some porn and rub one out just to prove you wrong. Because I can tell you for sure, I don't want to impregnate any of those bitches. Not a single one. No, I don't even want to have sex with them. I just like to watch fake Japanese doctors pretend to treat them for breast ailments they don't have. I just enjoy those narrative storylines. I'm there for the stories. Oh, look how shy she is. She doesn't want the doctor to undress her, but she's got to get undressed because he's got to investigate. He's got to see to make sure that he's got to do his exam, She always seems so shy at first and then so cooperative later on. It's strange. She starts making these weird Japanese noises like eh, 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 eh. Thanks, CJ. Anyway, the bottom line is, and Grass Eater, both of you, just knock it the fuck off. Nobody wants to hear your MGTOW shit. All right? I don't know how else to put it at that point. It's like, okay, even if you can defend these ridiculous positions that you keep claiming, it doesn't fucking matter. Because you're prioritizing your stories about how women are not human beings, but rather just women, and not engaging people as people, and man. And it's like annoying. It's like, stop already. You know? You'd rather be alone and have some dignity? Dignity. Dignity is so overrated. Who needs dignity? Come on, somebody heap some indignity upon me. If you heap indignities, then I will experience indignation. That would be a good kind of foreplay for a couple to have. First, I say scornful things, then you act very indignant. I also really enjoy the idea of a sexual role-playing game in which one of the parties pretends to be a Kantian who's very offended by utilitarian justifications, and then his girlfriend is a utilitarian, and she keeps saying, I think we should engage in public policy C because of these utilitarian reasons. And the deontologist is struck by the incredible conundrum he finds himself in. He really needs to spank his girlfriend, but he can't violate the NAP. Whatever shall he do? Do you see the hilarity? Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Janine. I appreciate it. Oh. So anyway, it's almost 4 hours here on this live stream, and I'm not bad at art. Thanks. Appreciate it, Dave Sampson. I'm pretty bad at some kind of arts. I'm a terrible sculptor. If you were to ask me to sculpt a clay sculpture of you, it would just look like whatever random kind of human shaped form. It wouldn't look like you at all. I'm kind of like, if you were to ask me to restore somebody's famous art in Spain, I would probably do about as well as that lady did with Monkey Jesus, or that other restorer did with potato face. Have you seen the Mrs. Potato Head? Yeah, Spain, Mrs. Potato Head. That would be me. If you hired me to restore art, it would turn out like Spain, Mrs. Potato Head, or like Monkey Jesus. But is it true that California knows how to party? The answer to that one's pretty straightforward. Fuck yeah. Wait a minute, 20 minutes late on that comment. On what comment? Is the live chat that far behind? I'm caught right up to the live chat. 1:42 a.m. I'm a minute behind. It says, Eric, you were 20 minutes late on that comment. Which comment was it 20 minutes late on? Oh, you'd rather be alone and have some dignity? Oh. Well, let me see what time that comment was. 1:39. 20 minutes late. I was like 2 minutes late on that comment. 20. Talk about exaggerating tenfold. What game's pretty intricate? Among Us? Reports are pretty exaggerated of mass exodus. Still plenty of people in California. All right. I'm going to split for now. Thank you for being here, everybody. It has been a touchy subject. I hope we addressed it well. I hope my perspective reigns supreme here, and that those who are fighting against it, just think about what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be oppositional here. I feel you, dogs. You dogs out there who are feeling not viable reproductively, I feel you. You're my people, okay? I get you. But, yeah. Dave Sanderson, it is Thanksgiving week. Just chill the fuck out. We were talking about getting shit done December, whatever, right? I got a new bottle. You sacrificed yourself for the truth? Well, you know what I have to say about that? Truth, schmooth. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. Love you all, including those that I have disagreements with. And I wish you all a very good evening and a good night's sleep and dream pleasant dreams.